What is going on, everyone? My name is Worm. As you can see from the title, probably. Today, we're going to be going over how to actually sidechain. And we're not going to be using Shaperbox 3. We're just going to be using the good old-fashioned compressor in Ableton. Yeah, just for you guys, here we go. An easier way, quicker way, how to sidechain. Alright, so if we want to understand how to sidechain, it's good to understand what sidechaining is. And sidechaining, in a basic sense, is just dropping some of the drum elements, dropping the music elements out of the way to make room for some of the drum elements. And so that could be the kick, the snare, really anything if you want to be creative with it. But typically it's going to be the kick and the snare. In a more popular kind of song like pop music, you really won't even know that it's there because it's really subtle and it's really just supposed to emphasize drums. Since I lean more electronic and trying to emphasize what sidechaining is, I figured, maybe give you a more dramatic example. But first let me get some chords down. And I got to get some music if we want to sidechain. So give me 1 second here. Alright, cool. And now, let me add some drums to this mix real quick. Cool. If we want to get this sidechained, something that you really want to set up here is kind of, see how my tracks are laid out here? Like I have drums kind of grouped in up here, then I have my music grouped in another thing. This is going to be the best way for this because you really want everything here to be ducked down. And of course you can pick and choose, you could take things out of it or you could put the sidechain on anything, but either way you're going to want to have a grouped track, and you're just going to want to use the compressor from Ableton pretty much. You'll just go over to your audio effects, grab the compressor from Ableton, stock compressor, and this corner thing over here, this little drop down button. You want to click on that and you'll have access to the sidechain option, and you want to turn that on. Once you turn that on, if all of your tracks are grouped like this and you have a drum section separately and all that good stuff, and I have my kick and snare grouped over here too, specifically for the sidechain. That way the sidechain is happening on the group instead of individual tracks. So once you have that done, you can put your compressor on your music track and then turn on sidechain. And then you want to put it on whatever you're trying to use for the sidechain, basically. So for me, I'm going to select the kick and snare because that's what I want sidechaining. And then, like I said, if you want to be creative with it, you can put it on any sort of tracks. But for me, I'm just going to put in my kick and snare here. And so what I like to do is I like to put it on peak. This RMS, it basically just means that it's not going to compress as hard. And if you put it on peak, it's just going to compress it pretty hard. And so that's what we're looking for. If you use this frequency option here, I like to turn that on and put it to this mid-range that pretty much it ducks down the frequency that I want pretty much for the kick and snare. Seems to work pretty well for me. And then the ratio, release, and attack, it's pretty much going to be up to you to just kind of use your ear here and see what you're going to like more. I'll compress pretty hard just so you can hear what's happening with the sidechain. And that's also a good way to kind of discover what you're going to like in your mixes, is just cranking up the dry wet all the way and just playing around with knobs, seeing what's happening in there. And that'll really help you out if you don't understand compression or sidechaining and things like that. So let's just see what this did. Just see what it did. Let's turn... with the compressor, there's a couple different screens. I'll go ahead and play this so you can see what it's doing on the compressor. So here you could see these waves going down, and every time the kick and snare hit, you can see it ducks down, and that's what we want. This bar here, the more you pull this down, the more it's going to duck. So hear how that kick and snare just You know what I mean? It's really coming in. And here's off. So you really want to, you probably don't want to do that unless you're doing that for like an intentional purpose, but you know, you can very clearly hear there how things are dropping in and out for the kick and snare, which is what we want. So that's good. So this screen is a pretty easy way to do that. Honestly, I kind of like looking at this one. It just kind of helps me visualize better. And like I said, you really just want to play around with these and get it to where you want it. What I've been doing lately is I've been kind of exaggerating the sidechain, and I've just been turning down the dry wet a little bit. It seems to work a little bit cleaner, honestly, than trying to get like a really subtle sidechain out of these knobs. I kind of just go until I can really hear it sidechaining, and then I'll turn down the dry wet. And so that's kind of where I like it, honestly. If I was just making this, I'd probably just leave it there and just make the rest of the song like that. So let's go back and kind of take a look and see what this sounds like with and without. So this will be without. And now this will be with. Yeah, it sounds really good. And yeah, that's just a quick, easy way on how to sidechain. Yeah, and if you want a little bonus tip on how to make your drums just really sound a little bit more clear in the mix, my little drum process here is kind of what I like to do is add a drum bus to your drum track, and we'll just play around with that, see how it sounds. You can already tell that it already like made the drums just like punchy. You can play around with these knobs, see what they do, you know. There's no really right or wrong way. And then I like to turn this down once I get it to a good point. I like to turn it around to around like 70% maybe, kind of on the higher end. Yeah, we'll do like 70 right now. And then the next thing I like to add is a glue compressor. And I like to turn the range down to 10. And then I'll just turn this threshold knob until I can see pretty much the kick and snare hitting the 10 point pretty much every time together. See how the kick and snare there are pretty much smacking that 10 every single time. That's kind of what you're looking for. And then once you have that, what I like to do is I like to turn up the makeup until I start seeing the kick and snare showing the red clipping happening. The little light starts blinking with the kick snare. Maybe a little more. Honestly, that looks pretty good. So I'll probably turn this one just until it sounds good, really. You can also play around with these knobs. I like to kind of go opposites with these. So if I'm turning the attack all the way up, I'll turn the release and ratio all the way down. And we can see how that sounds. A little bit harder. And then opposite as well. If you turn the attack all the way down, I like to turn the release and ratio all the way up. You can see how that sounds. You can also mess around with the clip button. You can soft clip if you want. So really, you have to have the attack all the way up, but if you have, it really clips the kick pretty well. Honestly, it sounds pretty good to me, so I'd probably leave it at that. Next thing I like to add is a knock here. I like adding knock. It's pretty hard. And I just like using presets for this, honestly. And kind of same thing, you want to find something that's kind of aggressive and dramatic, but then you want to crank it down quite a bit just so you can get little hints of that aggression, you know? And right now the drums are sounding a bit louder than the rest of the music, but the rest of it doesn't have any sort of... We've now kind of processed our drums a bit, and none of this really has much going on with it. We have like compression going on here, so yeah. But that's kind of how you get the rest of your music to sound kind of loud too, is that process. But just wanted to show you a good way to get that kick and snare really popping in your music, show you how to duck the rest of the music out of it. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful. Hope this one turned out better than the last two. I feel like it did. I have a feeling this will be the last Sidechain video I make, really. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you got a lot out of it. If you've been having success with sidechaining, let me know. If you've been having success in other areas with your music, let me know. I'm really curious to see how you guys are doing. And yeah, let me know down in the comments what kind of other tips, tricks, and production type of stuff that you guys want to see. And we'll get to it. But yeah, appreciate you guys. My name is Worm, like I said. And yeah, catch you in the next one. Peace.